Hello, my name is Crystal, and you may know me from the podcast Synchronic Saturdays with Megan and Crystal. And I'm here today on Megan's channel to offer insight about the 8 cognitive functions from the perspective of an ENFP. So I decided that this video today will be a love letter to the ENFJ personality, so I get to praise them in a way that they might not know how to praise themselves with, because like Megan is a little shy about tooting her own horn, so I figured I would do it for her. Now, full disclosure, I am super nervous about making this video because I'm just really shy, I guess, when it comes to these kinds of things. And I'm used to like having someone to talk to like next to me, which is why I don't post very much on my own channel. So bear with me if this is like a little rambly or a little like I'm making nervous eye contact. Sorry, anyone with SE, if it's kind of hard to watch. But yeah, so if you're new to type, ENFJ uses consciously extroverted feeling, introverted intuition, extroverted sensing, and introverted thinking. And I guess like from my personal observation of extroverted feeling, it's objective, emotional. I guess it's like they like have emotions like in this sense where they're kind of like looking out for like others in a way, but it's not because like they're pushovers. I feel like because I'm an ENFP with opposite functions, it's easy for me to like assume that everyone with FE is just being way too nice and way too fake, when in reality this isn't true. I feel like when you really get to know an ENFJ and they're comfortable with you and they have decided that they can share their kind of controversial opinions with you, it's 10 times more intimate and fascinating if you kind of give the benefit of the doubt that this is very hard for them to share. Like, I can make very generalized statements as an ENFP using my extroverted thinking and being like, oh, like, I don't really like that person, or oh, that like looks so bad on you. Like, if I really feel strongly enough about it. But I feel like an ENFJ like kind of ends up like viewing like emotions as something greater than themselves. They seem to view it with like a lot of potential to make a lot of good, or like a lot of bad. And they take themselves very seriously emotionally in this way where they know that they emotionally impact other people. And I feel like like as an ENFP, my introverted feeling means that everything I do could impact me, but I don't necessarily think about the impact it's going to have on others, both positive and negative. And recently I've befriended 2 ENFJ BFFs who are super into type, and they've talked so much to me about how they kind of take on the characteristics of the people they love, in a sense where if they really admire certain things about them, or they have interests that are, really like something that could appeal to them, that they'll like get to know that interest as a way to like bond with that person. And I feel like a version of me earlier in life would have been like, wow, it's like you have no personality but to take on the ones of the ones around you. But now I'm like, oh, that's like actually very cute, because what people don't realize is that that is rooted by introverted thinking, where they have this very consistent opinion and belief on how they are going to show up no matter what. Like, they're going to like show love to the people they love by embodying what makes them them. Like, I feel like it takes a strong self-concept to be able to do that without fearing you'll lose yourself. Like, I feel like I have that fear that people will have power over me if I were to get a little too comfy with them. Like, I would get a little too close and like, like just be too gushy, too fast in a way that feels vulnerable. But FE feels free to share because it truly is, in a sense, free to share. Like, it's not thinking about like love from a lack perspective of like, oh, like there's only so much love I can give me and you. It's like, oh, I can give love infinitely to the relationship that is much greater than just me. It's great. It's like me and you. And I feel like they want to take a lot of responsibility for others' emotions. And I think FI wants to say that it's like avoidant, like that FE is using other people as a way to gain happiness. But FE also has TI supporting it, where it knows that from experience for itself that when you make other people happy, it truly does make you happy. And I think that as an FI user, I view myself as the center of the universe, to where when I give to other people, sometimes when I haven't given to myself, it feels inauthentic. But in a parallel way, FE giving to others is kind of seeing itself as greater than just itself, because its intuitive thinking conceptually stands by the idea that we are all one. And so there is a sense of like consistency. It's just logical, not emotional. And I guess like this consistency is really powerful, because when you want as a baseline to look out for the people around you, like that's actually in a way forcing everyone to look out for each other too. I know there's a lot of negative stereotypes about like ENFJs, like, sometimes repressing their own emotions to the point where they take them out on other people. But my theory is that we only, especially in the type community, we only think about or see FE talk about when it's working through like a conflict with someone, and we see, oh, that's like them like all the time. When in reality, when FE is feeling great and feeling fine, like it doesn't look like it's like repressing all these things to build a case of FI, like, grievances against you. Like, I've had a lot of actually FE Dom friends throughout my life who are very good at like keeping everyone organized and looking out for everyone. Because you may think the check-ins, like when they're like, hey, how you doing? Or like, hey, what's up? May seem accusatory or like anxious. But in reality, they genuinely want to know. And you can like, criticize their execution with TE all you want. But at their core, I think that FE has the resilience to want to see where everyone's at. And also, FE tends to look at its similarities with people rather than fixate on the differences between your FI and my FI. And this makes it very emotionally efficient, because it'll have the like inherent ability to continue an emotion and like kind of carry it on. Like, I think that FE users are very good at like, even when they feel bad, they still reach out to their friends. Like, they don't isolate themselves. And in a sense, when you reach out to your friends to fix a problem, sometimes it really works. And I think that we don't give FE enough credit, because we remember all the times that FE gone wild, like they're really mean suddenly because they haven't taken care to fill their own cup before. But at the same time, FI doesn't fill up it fills its own cup up too much and doesn't think to give it back to others to maybe get some osmosis going. Anyways, ENFJs, I really feel like I've learned a lot more about how to give to other people in a way that doesn't like zap me from them. I grew up with a really kind of like an ISFJ mother who really liked her TI, so I would associate like FE with TI very inherently, because like she would like kind of give and then be like kind of nasty to me if I didn't like give back in a certain specific way. But I feel like when I started getting close to the ENFJs, they like would verbalize the potential they saw in me. And they would like be able to like see it from my perspective sooner or later, because their stronger intuition would be like, hey, calling me out, like, I know you might feel like no one cares, but they totally do. Or like, I don't know, something like that. Only ENFJs have had the emotional grit to keep pushing for a resolution. So even when they quote like seem to always pick a fight when they should let things go, at the same time, sometimes people need to be persuaded out of their bullshit. And I know that I would not be the person I am today if Meghan had let me put up certain walls where I was just like, leave me alone, I don't want to talk to you. And then she'd be like, well, but why? And it would force me to introspect into if I was avoiding her out of spite, or I was avoiding her because I genuinely was going to use the time productively to like process my own emotions. ENFJs force you into an emotional space that maybe you don't always want to be in, but I find that humans more often than not want to avoid their emotions more than they actually want to like take charge of them. And I think that the ENFJ represents the principle that we all could use some more emotional intelligence. I'm not saying that they're perfect at it, but I think that they at least hold space for the idea that emotions belong in our everyday lives and in our society. I certainly wouldn't even be making this video and talking to like a whole bunch of intimidating people if it weren't for ENFJs. Like, Meghan and I have really fought a lot over the years, but also worked out every problem. And she just had this like FE belief in she could make the impact of like making me feel more positive emotion as long as she pushed through it. And I, as an FI user, can give up really easily when it comes to me and someone else. Like, I know I have the power to make myself feel better, but I don't think I have the power to bring other people along with me for the ride. And she's like, once I care about you, like, you're in my feels, like, I am going to fight for you. And I think that FI fights very quietly, innerly, but FE will loudly do it, and even if it doesn't go as deep, when you put the two together, you really get a powerful punch, and we do need to indulge the other functions. So I feel like an ENFJ is kind of like my better half, in a sense. Like, I really feel like a lot of, like, I really admired the way that they, TI style, choose to consistently show up. Like, their belief system with NI and TI is so powerful. Like, I just don't really know, like, how else to describe, like, what can, like, make society change. And, like, you have to have this fighting resilience power to even, like, get to the point where you can articulate what you really believe and think. And ENFJs will at least believe that they have the capability of doing it, no matter how long it takes, no matter what they have to do. They'll believe in themselves and other people. And I think I'm good at loving myself, but I'm not that great at believing in myself. And ENFJs taught me to do that. Megan taught me to do that. And I know that, like ENFJs just don't get enough credit sometimes because they spend their whole lives thinking, oh, like, I see something out in the FE, like, should I be less emotional? Should I be more this? And then they, like, don't really get a chance to, like always shine in, like, planning events and executing something that's really thought out and takes everyone's emotions and preferences into consideration. Like, I have an ENFJ friend who is a nerd about spreadsheets. She uses them to organize all the information she learns, and she journals and writes all the key takeaways down, and it's so adorable. But she is such a student of life because she's hungry for more information on how people work, on how systems work, so she can have conviction on how she wants to actually impact them. And that is very consistent. Like, sure, maybe her, like, freaking favorite band is going to change, like, every other year based on, like, who she's, like, getting super close to, but her goals and dreams will stay the same no matter what, and I really freaking like that about them. And, like, ENFJs just really, I think, obsess over their impact. And because they obsess over their impact, they have better control over calibrating it and improving it. Otherwise, like, I feel like us ENFPs, we are, like, really different in the sense that we're good at, like, impacting people, but we don't, like, keep track of it in the same way. And I guess, yeah, like, the self, like, the believing in yourself, like, your ability to accomplish things. I feel like if we, like, you can say all you want that we have that, but, like, if we did, why would we have the stereotype of being so bad at meeting our goals and finishing what we started, in a sense? ENFJs remind me that emotional intimacy takes more than just FI, like, feelings. Like, I really love you and I will always love you. It's also like, I'm going to do things, acts of service, to continue to honor that love. I'm going to check in. Even when I'm sad, I'm still going to try to look out for my friends. Even when I'm overwhelmed, I know that they don't get overwhelmed in the same way FI does, but I feel like it's aspirational in a sense where even moving myself a little bit onto the spectrum could make me, like, a better person. And ENFJs have just done so much for society in terms of just moving the dial of what our beliefs are. Like, you can say that they're, like, acts of service or giving to you when you don't really want it is exhausting, but it's because they're choosing to embody what they believe about the world. And if everyone was a little more intentional about that, we could all create a positive change. And the person to remind you about that at their best is an ENFJ. And I feel like a lot of them, sometimes, depending on how their FE is, might be a little too, like, flaky or a little too, like, trying to please everyone. But it's such a noble problem to have, like, genuinely caring about people to the point where you're even inefficient about it. And the solution is not to care less. The solution is to just calibrate your intention and realize what's foundationally what you care about, which is these principles of how to act, the behaviors you want to consistently have. Like, given when you run into strong emotions, you won't always be able to act in accordance with your principles. However, even having the principles for the majority of your waking life is so important. Like, my principles, I don't really I don't behave off principles. I behave off, like, my emotions, and generally if I'm in a pretty good mood, I'm going to be a pretty pleasant person. But as soon as you piss me off, like, I will stop talking to you and I will back off and I will need to nurse my own wounds. And so I feel like I want to learn more about like principled living. I could give you like a more specific rundown later of like everything I've learned about ENFJs. And I feel like this was a lot of just NETE facting, but I just really, really appreciate that they show me my shadow side and what it could be. Because I'm not afraid of critically thinking more about how I want to do things or who I am or the choices I've made, because ENFJs always know and keep track of the choices they've made. And I really, really, really want to embody that more in my life. And I think that a lot of ENFJs, maybe who don't know that type that well yet, but should look more into it, underestimate the power of their NITI. That's a foundational truth. So I would encourage you to think about that more because it's very, very powerful. And y'all are very, very powerful. And I'm so inspired. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this brief rant on this. So yeah.